This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we'll call this meeting to order at 7:01. We have Seth, myself, Melissa, George, Dr. Ribner, and Rob from Smith Site. Let's see. Everyone good with today's agenda, September 2nd?
So moved. So moved.
Second? But Melissa, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Stop laughing, Rob.
Let's see. Period of self-expression. Is Rob part of the, or public expression? Is Rob part of that or
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so old business, the 21 to 22 New York State Construction Grant application for the Scott Room.
All right. So you guys got all the documentation I sent to you with the numbers and what's going on kind of a little bit. I'll just briefly touch on what's going on and then Rob can jump right in. We've had some issues with the construction grant application, as you guys have known. The most recent thing we had a problem with was SHPO, which is the State Historic Preservation Office. And because our building is 50 years old, or older, 50 years old, it's 54 years old now, we have to, for certain type of grants, construction grants kind of here on out, we have to make sure that there's no problems with SHPO with the grants that we're trying to do. They have to make sure there's nothing historic about with the grants, like anything we're trying to change, making sure it's not a historic feature, like if there was a archway or if there was like a stained glass window that was deemed to be historic or nature, we wouldn't be able to modify that in the library to go forward with a construction grant potential. So basically for the last month or so, we had applied to have SHPO give us a designation to see if there was anything historic in nature about the library. It's only 54 years old, so it wasn't too much of a concern, but something we have to do, like I said, in order to get the construction grant application through to the state. Upon finally them looking at our application and what we were trying to do, they wanted us to take pictures of the downstairs just to see the area of what we were doing. And it was at that time, just a couple of days ago, as you know, that the lady from the New York State, from SHPO, said that some of the panels downstairs were historic in nature because they were, original to the building. She's kind of further clarified today that all the panels that are downstairs leading to the Scott room, the kind of wooden panels that are like where the coat racks are, those are historic, as well as all the panels inside the Scott room. So not just the green and yellow panels that we kind of thought were what she was talking about. Trying to tell her that we had to do a bathroom kind of in the hallway, and that's what we were trying to do there. She's allowing us to do the bathroom, remove whatever panels we have to insert the bathroom there, entranceway into the hallway. So, but basically what it comes down to is we really can't alter a lot of the panels, really do anything with the panels much in the Scott room going forward. They would have to stay the same color. The yellow and green panels would have to stay unchanged. And it would be really hard to be able to even take them down and put insulation or do anything there. So they really kind of have to stay as is. And even the brown panels, they really have to not be disturbed unless, it's kind of okay as part of this grant. Like I said, we're putting in some electrical things for the interactive display for the Aquasport or some other things that are just really set into the grant, that have been approved as part of the grant. So that's where we are going forward. It's tough because it's the one area of the library course that we haven't done anything with in probably the 67-year history. So it has become a unique, quote unquote, historic feature of the library that that area is different than the rest of the library that's been updated. So that's where we are with that. Getting a designation letter from SHPO to say, yeah, we're only going to do this work this way, and hopefully they'll let our grant application get approved. It should get approved now, and we should be okay. So,
And that's a hard line, Seth. Like, we have to leave those. There's nothing we can do.
No. Once they determine something that's historic, if you mess with it, if you alter it in any way, and you think, we'll just do it, we'll do the renovation, we'll paint over it or something, and you go to take pictures and show, okay, we got the work done for the Scott room, and here are the pictures afterwards, and we're ready to get our check, and they see that you did something to those panels or cut out more or did something you shouldn't have done, you're not getting the money for the construction grant. You're not getting the construction grant money. So they're very hardcore about that. So yeah, you gotta go by what SHPO says. We've never faced it in the past because our building wasn't 50 years or older. So people are wondering, like, why has this never been a problem before? The last couple of years we did the roof, right? So that wasn't anything SHPO, and then we did the parking lot the 2 years prior to that, and I think the year before that we didn't do a construction grant. The year before I came, so that's where we are.
I get the general sentiment. It's just panels. It's just strange.
Right, and it makes it so we can't put insulation in the walls, which would be energy efficiency, drywall, that would help with energy efficiency. So literally you're saying for as long as we have that room, that we have to keep it that way. It's pretty tough. But so what we're planning, I talked to Steve again today, and that's what he said, just don't mess with them, don't really do a lot to them. Some of them are kind of brittle, and again, you take the risk of trying to take something down and thinking I'll put insulation behind it or do something, and then it breaks on you and you can't really put it back up. So we talked to Rob, I talked to Steve, what we think we could still do in the Scott room to do the heating, do the cooling, do some carpeting, do some of the things that we talked about, and still get a good result in the end, except for it kind of stays a little ugly. And so that might be the thing. Also, again, talking to Steve this morning when he came to the library to look at the panels, he let me know that they did have more money available at the system because one of the libraries dropped out. They didn't have enough money to do their project or something happened. So that's why the bathroom installation is kind of back on the table if you look at the numbers. So I kind of let Rob talk a little bit. I've talked a lot right now, I feel. So let Rob talk, and then if we have any questions for me or Rob after, we can go through kind of the figures and go from there. Rob, take it away.
Yeah, thank you. It's good seeing everybody again. I know working with SHPO for the last 15 years, usually they try and pick on the little guys. Especially they try and look for something that has an historical impact for exterior buildings, picking out a room. I just think it was a low-hanging fruit and I know the representative from SHPO that was reviewing your guys' project. And I just think it was just one of those ones that she saw and it caught her eye, and now she digs her heels in. That's kind of how that office operates. It is unfortunate. It is only also geared around the grant. So we go through the grant process. We do all the work in and around what we discussed, and I'll get into that in a minute. And then after you get your money from SHPO, you could always next year's budget remove the panels and put up sheetrock. The only thing you're not doing is you're not doing it through SHPO. They're saying for you to get money from them, you can't touch the panels. Now, in a regular world, where you're using your own money, you can do whatever you want inside the building. You don't have to go for a SHPO review. If it was to the exterior of the building, like doing windows or doors, that would have SHPO because of the age of the building. So there's I wanted to explain that kind of concept on how that office really works. But with that being said, We can provide, really, it's about 85–90% of the original budget, original project as discussed. The only thing we won't be doing is removing the actual wall panels and the frame system that's screwed into the concrete walls. Well, where we will be removing the panels is to be able to, we're installing air conditioning and heating unit on the wall. So that requires wiring to it. So we're allowed to remove the panel frame, unscrew them, provide whatever kind of wiring or any kind of electrical work that we need behind the panels, and then put the panels back on the wall. We're going to be able to do that behind your visual display screen whenever that comes in. But we're gonna as part of the project, put an outlet up higher on the wall, so when you guys order your display, you can just plug it in and the fasteners and everything will be there. So we can put the panel back on the wall and not interfere with that. The one door that we're going to be relocating for the bathroom inside the Scott room, it's going to go in the panel just adjacent to where the existing door is. So we were able to remove that full panel and then replace where the old door was in that panel, and then put in a new door using the same cutout. So the panels won't be affected. As Seth mentioned, there's three panels that will be removed and not reinstalled, and that'll be on that wall. If you're familiar with the hallway leading to the Scott room, there's two depressed closets there, coat racks more or less. There's three panels worth. That is where we're going to be creating a flush wall for the new door to get into your bathroom. So with that said, everything in the bathroom stays the same. All the work that is required in the bathroom stays the same. The renovation work that's going to be done in the Scott room we're replacing lighting to provide LED. Now I'm sure the majority of you know, or maybe not know, but the LED lights are much brighter in nature than your existing incandescent lights. So you don't need 52 of them in there. So we only have to provide 26, which we're going to keep them in the same locations as you see in that picture. You're not going to have as many. So that'll become immediately much more efficient from an electrical standpoint down in that room for you, and provide twice as much light as what's down there now. It would basically almost be considered an OR space with the amount of lighting. If we put 52 LED lights in there, you'd be able to do examinations on the floor, how bright it would be. So you obviously don't need that many lights back. You're going to get new fire retardant carpet tile. And then if you notice around that column or around the baseboard, there's vinyl tile. You're going to get new vinyl baseboard. That's connected to the carpet. That's part of the flooring system. So we're going to put a new vinyl baseboard all along the bottom of the wall. And then your two doors will be new doors with panic hardware and emergency lighting. And then everything else will be as what you see. Unfortunately, we have no control. You're going to be losing one green panel down there. So if any of y'all are, really into the green panel, I apologize, because the one door on the opposite side of where you're looking is actually painted green. So we'll be replacing that door with the new panic hardware, panic egress door. So really, that's it in a nutshell. Our original cost that you saw, we obviously exceeded the grant dollar amount, so we created alternates. But now with this panel discussion with SHPO, we're able to bring back the alternates into the project, and because we're not doing the panel work. So now you're going to be able to get the full project as indicated before, except you're just not going to get sheetrock walls. The ceiling grid will stay existing. And then other than that, you'll have all new ceiling tiles in there as well. And then, so the only things not included in the construction project or through our scope of work would be any furniture that's there and the visual display board itself. there is going to be a built-in closet part of it. That was one of the alternates that we're going to be building in now, so you can have something to lock storage down there. Right now, you kind of have a wardrobe that your server, or not server, your signal rack is actually sitting in. So that'll be actually a built-in. It's back there in the corner next to that blue container, so you won't have multiple. The furniture will actually have something built in there. And really, that's kind of in a nutshell. It kind of blew my mind when Seth mentioned about the panels, but it is what it is. If you guys want to receive that money to do this project, that's kind of the game we have to play, unfortunately, with the Parks office.
Is there a cost saving from not replacing the panels then? Not doing the drywall and the insulation?
There was, we had 2 alternates in the project before. We actually had the closet as an alternate and the relocating of that door to install the bathroom because we were over budget. That $100,000 budget that was set aside before, we were at 100 and I want to say, well, the bathroom itself was 49,000. And then the work to do in the Scott room was like 107. So we were over budget. So we weren't going to include the alternates if we did the panel work. So with not doing the panel work, we're able to absorb those 2 alternates now to get your built-in closet and to be able to relocate that door. Now, it sounds like you may have an opportunity to also include the bathroom into that grant process too. So now your budget is in the the 150, 160 range with that other library dropping out. So it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, it may or may not be, guys, depending on how you look at it. If you're really set on those panels, blessing in disguise. If you're not a big fan of the yellow and green and brown, then it's not a blessing. But it looks like if you can get approval, like my recommendations, if you can get approval from SHPO to take their money, someone else is going to take it if you don't take it to do the project. Go forward with the project, and then in a couple of years from now, or whenever you all want to, we already have a number associated to that work. We can go down there as a general construction project, not grant associated, move the panels and provide sheetrock and insulation for energy efficiency.
What happens if we don't do the panels, but during construction, the panel somehow they break or something, or damaged?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I've asked that to Sloan in the previous years too, where they want us to take things down and put them back. It becomes a huge liability on our part. The best thing you do is what they tell you is we have to replace it with a like material. So we have to go out and find paneling somewhere in the world that resembles that brown or green or yellow, and put it back the same size within the frame. I don't see us doing anything with the frames. If you notice in the pictures, there's black metal frames that the panels actually sit in. Those will definitely not get damaged at all. So we won't have to worry about replacing kind of the profile of the metal. But those panels are glued on. They're not even screwed in. They're glued onto the wall. So I mean, it's hideous. Because one panel was already almost off that we actually screwed in while we were there doing our walkthroughs. We kind of helped fix the panel, and we were able to screw it back to the subframe. But yeah, unfortunately, the good with us doing the bathroom work in that hallway, we're going to have some extra panels. So we'll be able to keep those aside or put those in a back storage room for you. We won't throw those away now that they're significant. But so we do have a couple extra. We'll have three extra full panels, and then some pieces. Because if you look at the bulkhead over the closet, there's like 12-foot 12-inch high panels above the closet opening. So there will be a couple extra paneling.
So the risk of not getting that grant money is pretty slim.
If we try and fight the panel situation, he comes out and says no, then you don't get the money.
Oh no, I mean like if like the likelihood of one of those panels getting damaged is pretty slim. So given that there's extra,
they would already give you your release letter and your money letter, and then they come out and review it too. So if we have to if we have to glue one from the backside or
yeah,
work to screw it in, we'll make it happen so you guys get your. A lot of times it's just pictures. They typically don't come on site. Not usually. I knock on wood. They have many other more significant exterior, bigger projects that they're dealing with that they may send a representative on site to look at. But I think with today's world right now, and the smaller project that this is really in relation to, I think they're just going to want pictures.
Rob, I know construction costs are going up. Could you just talk for a minute or two on how come the bathroom's going to cost $50,000? Is that what a bathroom costs?
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of the cost is actually doing the sanitary lines. We have to cut a trench in your concrete slab for water, and then what we have to do is we have to put a pump in.
Okay.
So basically, where your toilet is going to sit on the floor, you have obviously you have your sanitary line, your sanitary line that comes out the bottom of that. We have to dig a hole in your slab, put a pump in the hole because obviously stuff flows downhill. So we have to put a pump because if you remember correctly, and I don't know if you do or not, but your existing sanitary lines that go out to the village are up in the ceiling of the basement.
Okay.
So you don't have a bathroom or there's no water on the first floor. So back in the day when they put the bathrooms in on the first level, all they did is they come below the first floor and then turn and go right out the street because they're already below grade into the village sanitary system.
Right.
Is we have to go against gravity and we've put in a pump. They'll actually pump it up the backside of the wall and then over into your system that's connected to your existing system.
Okay.
So we have to do that with the sanitary, which is not a normal situation when you do a bathroom. And then your water lines, we have to bring over from the far end of the building in the ceiling of the basement and then drop them down to supply the toilet and then to supply the sink as well.
Okay. Well, that makes right.
Unfortunately, that does provide a significant more cost to your bathroom. I wouldn't say half, but I mean the ceramic tile isn't cheap these days because it's got that PVC component to it. That material itself has gone up exponentially over this past 6 months. The fixtures kind of stayed the same, relatively the same. The sheetrocks is the paint actually doubled. Believe it or not, I don't know why paint doubled. It's just because it has the PVC component to it. But the ceiling tile that we're putting in there, the light that we're putting in there, that's all kind of normal everyday construction. We are insulating the walls just from a sound attenuation standpoint. So that's usually not what we put in a normal bathroom. You don't insulate all the walls, and then we're putting insulation above the ceiling too, to be able to provide a little bit more sound attenuation. So other than that, I mean, we are building 3 new walls also. So we're not kind of doing just a regular interior renovation for a bathroom. We're at 3 walls. So there's that component of associated. I mean, they're standard. Those components in the industry have not increased, but there's still just there's a cost just to do it.
Sure. Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have any more questions for Rob? Any
I guess
questions?
just following up from what George was asking, are there items in the Scott room renovation that the prices are a lot higher than they normally are, just to understand all the costs?
The carpet tile is probably gone up 4 or 5 times in the past 4 months. Carpet tile is ridiculously expensive right now. Problem is, you in your type of facility, you have to go back with a fire retardant material. And with kids being down there and with activities being down there, carpet tile is really going to be your most long-term maintenance, relatively maintenance-free material. The only other thing would be able to put a hard surface like ceramic or vinyl, and then you get into that situation, because we also don't like the fact that it's on an existing concrete slab to put a hard surface, because you never get a level playing field on an existing concrete slab, and we really don't know what happens to the moisture content in that slab. So carpet tiles can not absorb moisture, but they can absorb the imperfections in that existing slab a little bit better than like putting marble down, not marble, like ceramic tile or vinyl tile. Plus the kids, they do a lot of the story time where we're doing like that separate color area over in your visual display that they're actually going to have kids sitting on the floor. So it kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone, but it does have a little bit of additional cost. But the heating unit, it's a split system. We can't tie it into your existing system. That would have been a cheaper component. But that's really the only type of heating system we can put in that room. And with that, we have a condensate line that we have to run through the storage room and then out the exterior door. I don't know if you remember that new exterior door we put in the storage room to go upstairs. There's going to be a condensate line that goes out that door, above that door, and then there'll be a condenser that sits out in those bushes to serve that unit. So that's a little bit more of a cost. Normally, we would just tie it into your existing building system and just provide some diffusers and some ductwork. So that provided a little bit more of a cost than a normal interior reconstruction. And really, I mean, the door hardware itself, it's just not cheap to begin with. It hasn't really gone up. But just put it in perspective, one panic hardware set, which is the crash bar that's on the door, just that alone is $1,300 just for that piece of hardware. So we're doing 2 of those, and then you have all the other hardware that's on the door. So you're at $5,000-$6,000 just for the 2-door hardware, not even the door and the frame.
That's terrible.
That's just the way it's always been with panic hardware. I can't control that piece, and that really hasn't even gone up. That's always been expensive. You think life safety issues would be actually cheaper, but I think the industry back where they know you need to have it, so they've increased the price. But other than that, really, the LED lights haven't gone up much. We're reusing all the existing circuitry in the ceiling and the lighting. We're just going to cap off the lights that we don't use up there. We're not even going to spend the time to remove the wiring. We're just going to cap them, which is perfectly safe. It happens all the time. And really, that's it. I mean, the ceiling tiles, they haven't gone up in price. It's just the amount of work that we're doing collectively just kind of puts that kind of price tag on that room. I mean, 'cause it's a big room too. I mean, the room's 36 by 36, so it's significant. It's like 1,500 square feet of interior construction. So I mean, it's a decent sized room from material takeoff itself. But you start adding in all those different components and functions, they kind of unfortunately just add up.
Maybe this question's for Seth. How much is the size of the grant coming from the other library?
What do you mean? What is the size of the grant? The size of the grant that we're getting from New York State?
The amount of money that we would be getting that the other library would have previously gotten, but they've decided not to go for it. How much money would that be?
Well, we're not getting that whole amount. We were gonna get what, let me see here. Yeah, we were gonna get 79.5 initially, and now we're gonna get 119,557.
For
So,
both, for ours and the thing that would have been theirs, for both of them.
right,
Okay.
right. Yep,
Okay.
So that's $40,000 more, Jeff.
right. If you look on the paper I sent you, it's 40,057 additional
Okay.
dollars. So,
All right.
So Seth, does that
So we would-
mean we're spending an additional 13,000?
correct.
So what does that look like in the budget? Is that
It's not exactly 13,000 exactly, because what I've got hooked in there now is the $4,483 for the Aquos display. You can see that up there. And so, we would have probably had that in the budget out of our computer budget, just like we just purchased this last one. So really technically of what we're spending more is 8,800 without the Aquos, but if you do figure in the Aquos in there, it's a 13,000. But
oh, okay.
yeah, so it's not as bad as it seems.
So then it's really not, what does that mean? That's like 9. That's really, it's not much more money.
No, it's really, we're paying 8,800 more dollars than we anticipated.
We're getting everything we wanted, except we got nice panels.
Right. And again, heating and cooling, having AC down there is big for the staff, and early voting and things where there's no ventilation, there's no airflow. Getting that done, getting new carpet tile, fire resistant. There's still a lot of good things, and now getting the bathroom too. So, and there's still a lot of good things. Yeah, it doesn't look pretty, but it's not why exactly we were doing it. Again, installation would have been nice, new drywall would have been nice, but to have those features, will really help. I think programming and just usability of the library.
It sounds good.
So ultimately, if you're done with Rob, and we can decide, or he can stay, but just the board will have to decide if they want to go forward with the grant money, with the proposal like that you guys see, what I sent you. Ultimately, we would be spending $159,410. We'd be getting, well, not total, but that's how much the project cost total would be. We'd be spending, the grant amount was $119,557. We're spending $39,852. So that's our total. That's our matching total, about 40,000. Like I said, up from the 26.5 that we initially thought to do the Scott room and bathroom, or that we had kind of figured that number in. But
I'm sorry, Seth, that does or does not include the display?
it does include the display. I added that. Do you have the paper right in front of you at all?
Yes.
Okay, so you see up top there, the middle column there, proposed construction grant estimate. You've got Rob's charges, or the Smith site's charges there, the 148,927. We paid 6,000 already for the architect fees because we had to do that. And so then the interactive display, like I said, the one that we already got upstairs and paid for earlier this year, that's the 4483. So that gets you your 159,410. Go ahead.
You said also that that 4483 was, we sort of can already cover that as part of our computer budget.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But yeah. So I mean, we're not coming up with new dollars, right?
Right.
Okay. It's not part of the 13,352, additional that we're really having to come up with. Some of that money is already in there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and this isn't including furniture, of course, and that's tough, right? We were all hoping for brand new tables and chairs and all those type of things, and people were happy about that. Again, maybe it's something in a year or two from now that we figure in to just kind of finish the room off and say we'd like to do that. So
maybe you can use those 3 extra panels as tables.
Good, we could. you know, and so, yeah, it really is unfortunate. It's kind of a heartbreaker, like I said, to kind of see, but if you look at the good that we're still being able to do, that's the benefit, you know, fire resistant.
On a positive note, with that, Seth, it'll still fall in line with the overall look of what you have currently.
Right.
I think rip off all the panels and paint it and come up with a whole new color scheme and then leave the existing furniture, it would kind of look a little off.
Right.
Now people aren't going to really see a major, so you can buy new furniture.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to say people, well, we spent, this type of money, we spent $39,852 on a bathroom and a Scott room remodel, and they might think, oh, what did you do? But we know, we've improved the space. Again, getting rid of that old smart board, putting a new interactive display, that help with story times and meetings and other things for group organizations. It'll be huge. So, I would advise that we do it. We talked about trying to split the grant up for 2 years, or 2 projects over 2 years, trying to get a 75% match on the 100,000 this year, 106, and then trying to see, 75% of what the bathroom would cost next year. This allows us to do what we can do, what we ultimately kind of wanted to do in the first place. And yeah, it's 13,000, really 8,800 more than we anticipated, but we'll get the project done and be done with it. So, yeah, that's what I would say. So,
I do know,
Oh.
Seth, that you would not be able to use the same numbers that you have today a year from now with.
right. And I told the board, we would probably lose the ability for the $6,000 in architect fees to cover the grant, cover as part of our match for the grant, because it would be another year out potentially. And to try to use that same figure, they probably wouldn't accept it at the state. So, or just let us figure it into the cost. So, yeah,
What would
it
it
makes
cost?
sense.
What would it cost? Rob, what would it cost to come back in a few years and pay for the panels to be replaced ourselves?
If we,
Just a ballpark figure.
yeah, if we use numbers from today, I think that line item collectively, demolition, installation, purchasing of sheetrock, and I think that number was around $7,000 to do all that work.
Okay. All right.
You
Because
know,
I
and
think that would bring us to what we really wanted in a few years. It would look like what we wanted. And at $7,000, that's not onerous.
And again, if you don't do it, you lose the opportunity that maybe we don't get matching funds that are that high next year, or whatever else. There could be no money, construction grant money at the state. We got a new governor. Who knows, what the budget will be. So, take the guaranteed 75 that you have, let the architect fees be covered and rolled into that as part of matching funds, and, do what you can. So,
Yeah, and the good thing is, if you wanted to come back at a later date to do the panel work, not going to affect anything that we're doing now. Meaning, you won't have to remove any of the new construction to remove the panel systems. It would be taking the visual display board off the wall. It would be taking the split mechanical system off the wall. Other than that, that's it. So, and we put them right back on like we do anyway. So, you wouldn't be putting good money after for that standpoint.
You're reading Steve's email to Seth about how the local match is about 40,000. Based on the budget of 159,000, that's still 75%.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there are minor changes here that we have to deal with, but that sounds still pretty good.
Right. When we had the parking lot, we were wondering like 50% or, 48. It's just, you're getting the max dollar value that you can. You'll never get more value. Like I said, if the cost of materials and things go up in a year or two, you're going to lose money that way. There's just, it doesn't make sense to, if you're ever going to do this project, and you're thinking, oh, we'll do it in a year or two, it's never going to be cheaper. It's never going to be more cost effective.
I think that's true, Seth. I don't know what we would have done if we didn't get that additional money, but since it's sitting there, right?
Right.
Why not take advantage of it for that, as you said, that $8,000?
Yeah, I know one of my concerns was just the overall price tag in general for this project, and it was very helpful. Thank you, Rob, for walking through where that money is going, and understanding all those various pieces. What you said made a lot of sense, and I could understand now why that cost is so high.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy to, potentially come up with, another $8,800 in the budget with revenues potentially being lower, everything's going on, but, we'll make it work, that's what we kind of do. So just got to buckle down a little bit and come up with it. Again, it would have been nice to only have to pay 26.5, but, make it work. So. Anything else?
So then,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, if there is nothing else, I was wondering if there is a motion then, if like if we're all in agreement that we should continue on with both the bathroom and the scout room while, I guess, preserving the existing panels.
Yeah, I would say say the exact amount of the 159,410 and get
Yeah,
a
so
motion for that. And so
that exact amount, 159,410.
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, or raise your hand. Okay.
right.
Hey, Rob, go to it.
All right.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. Talk to you later.
All again. Have a good night.
Bye, Rob.
You too.
Bye.
So yeah, I think that's it, and I'll try to get the grant altered and do all that as soon as I can. Tomorrow it's due, so I think we can get everything, and I hope get the letter from SHPO, and just try to go from there. So I think we have now everything we should need. So
Thank you.
yeah, just cleaning out the rooms in the basement now and the storage room, as you saw down there, the utility room, a friend's book sale room, and a lot of work to be done before now in January. So
Good.
I think if we come back in a few years and just replace those panels for $7,000, it'll be a little more, but I think then we'll be happy.
Sure.
Then it'll
Yeah.
look nice. It'll look the way we all wanted it.
right.
Well, and he was
Go ahead, Melissa. Oh, cut now.
Do we all go home now?
Oh,
Yep.
Melissa.
I
She
move to
froze.
adjourn. I'll move to adjourn.
Thank you. 34.
All right.
Anyone second that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Seth. For all
right,
your work.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys in a couple of weeks. Yep.
Good night.
Yep.
Good
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.